speak at some of our programs, big rallies, and she would sit there like right on the steps. If you didn't know who she was, in fact, they look not different when they out here, but they don't have on makeup, they don't have, and so you wouldn't, and they're common looking, so she's sitting there with Levi's on and some kind of clogs and just looking at her notes. And you would never know that, oh, that's Susan Sarandon, that's so-and-so, okay, the point is this. The FBI, back to them. The big monster that we're dealing with, if you use the name FBI, it'll cover all of the types we're talking, NSA, this, that, Homeland Security. It covers all of them. So we're using them or that as a type of this system. So how to punk the FBI showed the world, and it worked for a while, that you're afraid of a myth. All the people around here, because on the front of the newspaper that they had at that time, it came out, how to punk the FBI, and it had my picture on there and everything. And for a few days, a few weeks, it worked. Because people was thinking, if this guy can say that, number one, he didn't go to jail. Number two, he's not dead, he's still alive. So for a few days, they was feeling their oats a little bit. That didn't last no time. No, they fell right back in on it. So now, if you look at that movie about Fred Hampton, this is 1969, we could see that Fred Hampton, Huey Newton, Bobby Seale, all the brothers and sisters was on their top 10 list. They were on their top 10 list. Well, I never was. My father, he was kind of familiar with that. He used to go down to the post office. He said, when I came back from overseas, I go to the post office and look and see if you're on the wanted list. They said, and they never did. And I told him, I said, because I'm not wanted. I said, I'm not liked, but I'm not wanted. And then he told me something, well, when you know too much, what happens to you? Because he come from that old gangster Negro world, that when you know too much, them white folks, will get rid of you. Yeah, he was, so anyway, let's get back to, in 69, we have many things that happened. Like they had all Bobby Dylan and all them people is jumping up and down. And then pretty soon, they have that Stonewall thing. Stonewall, the gay bar in New York. They played it as though it was the white boys and white variations of humanity that caused most of the trouble. But it was the Negroes that put a freeze on the police. The Negro, and they're the ones that pushed that thing big. The white people took the credit up till a few years ago. But now, imagine, here's J. Edgar Hoover. He's a cross-dresser and anti-gay, anti-cross-dressing, anti-this, that, and other is big in the United States. And he's one of them. Technically, he's a leader, right? You got to first figure out or think about what kind of convoluted mentality he had to be able to do that, and what type of convoluted mentality would the people around them have, because him and his friend had lunch together every day, okay? And that's not something that you can super hide, not for 50 years. Oh, he never got married. They'd be looking, well, he ain't got no girlfriend, he ain't got nothing. But he hates a certain kind of people. He hates manly people. He hates them. All the Black Panthers were manly. Even Martin Luther King, to stand up like that, J. Edgar Hoover told him, look, if you don't kill yourself, I'm going to put all this information out on you. Martin Luther King didn't. So all the people that were being assassinated during that period had some manly or sterling characteristics. They're not perfect. Remember, we're not looking for that period for perfect heroes like they were just all across the board. No. If you looked at the Panthers Party, they may shoot it out with the police, but they might chase girls all around the place all day long. And they don't see anything wrong with it. To them, there's no contradiction. But for movement, it's a strict contradiction. For me, looking at them, coming out of the game, I say, you can't do that and have no revolutionary movement. You can't do that. You can't do it. But they all tried, and that was one of the failures. In Algeria, Pete O'Neill told me in East Africa, he said it was PUSSY that got us put out of Algeria. Had nothing to do with Arabs didn't like blacks, none of that, what they was putting out. It was that. Okay, now, I want you to try to visualize a so-called frontline police state organization with a degenerate, a homosexual, a cross-dresser as the head of it, with all that power. And there's no check on it. There's no check on him. Okay. Now, can you imagine? It don't start new. It's been going on. First of all, we got to get rid of Marcus Garvey. And they set him up. They did. They just set him up. He didn't do nothing wrong. Set him up, got rid of him. Sure, they got Al Capone a little bit later, but it wasn't no big deal. But when they needed the Italians to go against Mussolini, they would let them Italians out of prison, Lucky Luciano and all of them, to go over there. Because, see, the Italians here was anti-Mussolini. They're anti-Mussolini, okay? They speak the language, they do everything, so they can go over there and subvert, long as they can do their crime. So now imagine if the FBI can use you for their war effort or whatever they want to do, you in solid. That's why that's why J. Edgar Hoover denied there was even a such thing as a mafia. For almost 50 years, there's no such thing as a mafia. It don't exist. You could say, how many fingers? I got 5 fingers up there. He said, fingers don't exist. There's no such thing as a finger, or fingers, or dedos, whatever you want to call them. They don't exist. Okay, so now, we're dealing a lot with, J. Edgar Hoover was specific also about image. Remember we talked about if you were the FBI agent, when they played an FBI agent in the movies, J. Edgar Hoover would oversee the dialogue. And he would have some choice to pick the person that's going to play an FBI agent. So that's what they're giving him. They're giving him that. Okay. So that means the FBI is always going to be portrayed as worse than the Mountie always gets his man. The FBI always going to win. And do you know that people believed it then and they believe it now? Some of them. It don't have the same characteristics or as in the old days, but it was a certain thing. Like people thought when you get a federal case, you're done. You're done. Because like the court says, the state of Maryland versus Johnny Jones. That means all the state apparatus. When you get in federal court, they say the United States. That means the Army, Navy, Marine Corps, FBI, CIA, all of those institutions and all of their abilities is against you. And they mean that. They mean that. So I want you to visualize me and you going to war with a monster that have all of those things. And we know he have those things. We know that when he said the United States versus Imam Musa, right? We know that that's what they mean. That means all the apparatuses, all of the institutions, all of the informers. That means anybody that's an informer or a potential informer inside the United States or outside. It don't make, they got access to them. They can buy them, they can shape them, they can fashion, and they can form. Now suppose they did a study of you and they found that, oh, he always had his family by him. Well, suppose you give them 20, 30, or 40 years, they're gonna go through your whole family and everybody, and they're gonna offer them a better deal than you can. Right? They're gonna, because remember, I can't put them in jail, but they can put me in jail. That's the way people begin to look at things. And in the early days when you're younger, everybody is with you because it's like little kids. You notice when the little kids, they won't tell on each other? No, they went in the little school. They won't tell on each other. They won't do it. They won't tell on each other. I mean, especially when you get in a little school, maybe little bitty kids. He did it. But kids, like, I could ask my family, my daughters, well, who did such and such? They won't tell. They just won't tell. They won't tell because it's a kid's honor thing, whatever it is, you know. Now, as you grow older, that breaks down. But when you're a teenager in your early 20s, that's still a part, unless something comes to really shake that. You'll maintain that. When I say shake that, that means when something comes, somebody comes and challenges that. Somebody comes and offers you a lot of money. Somebody wears you down over a long period of time. Like if you see, my great nephew called me the other day, ready to roll again. Oh yeah, just ready to roll. And he's giving me a rendition of why he slowed down at that time. Well, I'd already told somebody, everybody here, that boss man is going to do that to them. We keep doing this, and that's what they did. And he pulled back. Why he pulled back, I ain't got nothing to give him right now. But if he wanted to do big shows, he might have been groomed decades ago. Because he's getting in the videos, he's doing this little stuff like that. So when he gets into it, suppose his first thing is Keisha Cole or something like that, where he got to go down to Atlanta and he's got to do a big production. Keisha Cole, the Negro lady from Oakland. I don't know if you ever heard. You ever? Okay. Okay, he was doing, that's what he did. Okay. We could know they setting him up because he would come down to LA to He wanted to do a special on me, just all of a sudden. This is, let's just say 20 years ago. He goes to a masjid. There's somebody inviting me to come to a masjid. And I say, come on out. These are Iranians and Iraqis. This is a Shia community in LA. I'm well known with them. And I go out there and he sees how they're treating me. And he's getting up on all of this. And so after it's over, him and his wife-to-be, they checking all this out. How can a Negro have this much? Well, they done already told him that that's who I am. So every now and then he's coming back to, well, I want to do something on you.